So my name's Jared. I'm from 10gen. We are the company that sponsors the MongoDB open source project. And MongoDB is a document-oriented, open source, high-performance database. And so the reason we built MongoDB, Dwight, Merriman, and Eliot, Horowitz, our founders, they were at DoubleClick. Dwight was the founder and CTO at DoubleClick. And DoubleClick was trying to serve 400,000 ads per second. Right? That's an enormous volume of database transactions to be doing on any system. And it just was incredibly difficult to build. You had to build a custom system. And what we see when people try to scale their database technologies today, especially with a relational database, is that you have to buy bigger and bigger servers. So as your database gets bigger, the cost of running your database is getting exponentially more expensive. If we look at our cost curve of, up here we have our HP Superdome servers, which end up costing hundreds of thousands of dollars per CPU. But this is the way we scale a relational database. The other problem is that when we scale relational databases, we tend to take away features from the developer that make them productive. So there's things like joins and transactions which don't scale very well. And so when you listen to stories from Google and Facebook and LinkedIn about how they scaled their data infrastructure, you hear them say things like they stopped using these features. Right? And what happens is our teams become less agile. We aren't able to push features as quickly. Right? So MongoDB was designed to overcome these problems. The idea is that with a new programming model, a new data model based on documents, that we could actually create a horizontally scalable database that we could run on whether it's commodity hardware or big expensive hardware, that I could simply add more boxes to get more scale out of my database. And the new document model kept my developers just as productive at scale as they were when they first downloaded the database.
So I wanted to ask you about 10gen today here in OSCON. What's the general mission of 10gen? Who do you help?
So we help people building internet scale applications. We help people dealing with large amounts of data, and also people dealing with a lot of change in their applications. Our database, MongoDB, is designed to be very scalable, but also very agile.
So this is an open source database then that you've brought into the commercial business? How did that get started?
So we started the company to build MongoDB. Dwight Merriman, when he founded DoubleClick, found there wasn't really the database that he needed for processing hundreds of thousands of internet advertisements a second. So after he finished with DoubleClick and did a few other internet startups, he went off to build the technology he wished he'd had, and felt like at this time really it made sense to build it open source.
Now, does 10gen on Mongo, does it work with, like, if say I have an Oracle database or something like that, and does it work side by side with that?
Yeah, a lot of people use MongoDB side by side with Oracle or with MySQL or with other databases. There are some problems that Oracle is very good at solving. You want to build an HR database of employees and departments and managers and salaries, it works great in Oracle. You want to build a high volume website or a content management system, it turns out that's actually much easier in MongoDB.
And as far as like a cost per transaction or something, is Mongo much more of a cost-effective way to do something that isn't as business critical, like an Oracle piece might be for the transaction processing, you might be for another element like this web piece you mentioned?
Yeah, typically it winds up more cost-effective for a few reasons. One is you can typically do a lot with relatively little hardware and with inexpensive commodity hardware using MongoDB. So you save on the hardware, there are 0 license fees, and then the support subscriptions are also radically less than Oracle.
So was MongoDB designed from the ground up to be scalable? Was that the idea?
Yeah. It was.
How did they go about that? I mean, is it a different way of approaching the problem?
Absolutely. The relational database has been a wonderful thing for building a lot of applications. But 30 years ago, when the relational database was designed, the paradigm was that if you needed it to go faster, you'd get a bigger computer. Nowadays, when you need something to go faster, you don't get a faster computer in most cases, you get more computers. And so when we designed MongoDB, we designed it to work in a distributed environment with hundreds or thousands of servers. So we had to make some changes to make it work there. We changed the data model, we changed, in some ways, the transaction model as well to support that scalability. But then we tried to keep some elements in common, the notion of being able to do simple ad hoc queries, the notion of being able to choose what fields to index that we thought people liked about relational databases we kept.
Okay. And then kind of a wrap-up question, and how does one get started with Mongo? Can they just download it and start using it? What do you think?
You can download it, you can start using it. We have online tutorials at mongodb.org, and there's a very active user list in Google Groups on MongoDB. So if you have questions, send them to the list, and somebody in the community is likely to help you, or somebody at 10gen. We spend a lot of time and energy helping the community.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about the community thing. I mean, here we are at OSCON.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like being a startup in the open source space these days? Has it changed, do you think?
It's wonderful. It's a very dynamic space. It's becoming more accepted to use open source within large companies. So we have a number, I believe 5 Fortune 100 companies using MongoDB, but then we also have hundreds and hundreds of innovative startups doing just amazing, cool projects, and we're excited to work with both of them.